How do you do? We're about to unfold the story of Frankenstein. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. Well, we've warned you.
As usual, you've been warned. Welcome back to Frankenstein Minute, the podcast where we dissect the Universal Frankenstein films minute by minute. I'm Bill Evenson.
And I'm Thom Lang, coming to you from Belong Dead Studios West. We're at minute 68 of 1931's Frankenstein.
And we've been surfing all week. This was a big
this is
surfing week for us.
Yep.
Yep, that's what we do out here.
We come out and surf. Things heat up pretty quickly at this point.
Oh man, we're done. We are done.
Good night.
Good night. Hey, do you guys know we have a Patreon? This is fucking awful. This is
This is a pretty harrowing minute.
Yeah, this is real. It's harrowing in real life and in the movie, and
this can't have been fun to shoot. I wouldn't think,
or to be the monster in
that's what I mean.
the film. Yeah, as we've said before, Karloff's got to be the most flammable guy in any movie other than the Mummy when he was the same guy. But whatever. Same actor. Hello? What are we talking about?
We're talking about surfing.
Yeah, we should go back to that.
Yeah.
But he's one of the most flammable guys on set.
Yeah, because of the makeup and
there's a lot of fire effects and staged apparently very competently because it looks dangerous.
It appears like it is real peril involved, but it clearly, like we said last week, no one that we're aware of got hurt.
Yep.
I mean, they're professionals.
Yeah, maybe fire's not that hard to pull off in a movie.
Well, like I said, it's more than likely gas jets and something like that, because it doesn't have the smoke that you would associate with like old wood burning like that. It would be a thicker, darker smoke.
That's true. If the wood was on fire, he would have died. Karloff would be the last film.
Yeah. That stage.
This would be a snuff film.
The set, the top floor of the mill, the interior would be full of smoke.
That's true.
In reality, and it's not. So
that's your criticism of this film?
Yep, it sucks. Hate this film because of it.
It's not a good movie. I think that's if you got to take anything from us over the last
weeks,
year and 14 weeks or whatever it is, 16 weeks now. But no, it's very effective. It looks really dangerous. It looks really awful.
Yeah.
And as I say, he's one of the more flammable guys. He's at one point he goes back into the mill and goes over to a window, and the window doesn't seem to have any glass in it, but he's banging
on the sill.
Yeah. To try and get out, to knock it out, so that he can jump out the window.
Yeah, I mean he's caged, like a caged animal,
or human for that matter. At this point, like you could see doing that. Like I gotta get out of here.
Yeah. Well, the terror, just the screaming that he does.
And that's the thing. This monster doesn't make this sound outside. I think he makes it just at the end of last week's episode.
Yeah.
Or I call it an episode. It's a minute. And in this one, he makes this high-pitched screeching sound.
Screaming, yeah.
Screaming is better. It's
terror. It's actually abject horror.
He's in a bad place. Yeah.
I would say if I was stuck in a burning mill, I'd be in a bad place. Yeah,
that would be really awful.
Yeah.
So this is by my way of thinking, the monster is portrayed here sympathetically.
Yes.
We're not enjoying his peril.
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to cheer the fire on to consume him.
Yeah.
He tries to go down the hole or whatever you want to call it, that Clive, and a big, huge ball of fire shoots up.
Yep.
Yeah, that stuff can't have been fun to shoot.
Yeah, that's true.
That'd be pretty scary. Just even if it was controlled, it's still fire.
Right.
That would be pretty scary.
Yep. I guess you, as you say, trust the technicians that are putting it all together. And and Karloff, certainly seems to put a lot of trust in that.
Throughout the entire film, he has. Yeah.
Everything he's been asked to do up to this point has been pretty awful.
Can't have been a fun.
He didn't even want to throw Maria in the lake. He was not on board with a lot of stuff here. So, as I say, this high pitched screaming and this situation and everything that happens in it, it seems to me the monster is portrayed as a sympathetic figure. Mm-hmm. And I did want to mention that one of our listeners, a friend of mine, Robert, has mentioned that we talk about that a lot on this podcast. And I think the reason for that is because it's true. Yeah. The monster is supposed to be looked at as a sympathetic figure. And his feedback, I guess, to us was that maybe we've overstated some of that somewhat, because in 1931, that's not how audiences would have seen it. In 1931, they would have seen a monster. That this was a monster movie.
I don't agree completely with that.
I think this minute, it can't be read any other way. Right. The monster has our sympathies.
Yes.
And so I think it's always been there, and it, of course, was there in the original novel as well.
Yeah.
That I haven't read.
So how do you know that?
Because I was throwing to you.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, there is some of that. It's part and parcel, I think, with the whole Frankenstein story. Yeah. That the monster didn't ask for any of this. Yeah. And I know you don't have a problem with the criminal brain as much as I do. That wasn't necessary. The situations don't require the criminal brain aspect until later on in the series. But at that point, it's a different brain altogether.
I feel like I got to say it again. That isn't the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is, even with a, quote, criminal, and I'm doing air quotes because I'm that kind of guy. It's, it's West Coast, Bill. Yeah. Criminal brain, it's just one more strike against the monster.
I get that, but it wasn't necessary for things to play out the way they do in this film and in the sequel.
Okay. But I mean, I'm not saying that the criminal brain is I guess I'm saying the criminal brain, you don't even have to agree it's a real thing. Yeah. If you assume that the criminal brain doesn't affect his life at all. Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is, for me, it works better if you assume there's no such thing as a criminal brain.
Okay. That's
what I'm saying. So he's been given a criminal brain, and then society has shunned him for yet one more reason.
Okay.
Even though he's innocent. That's what I'm saying.
There we go. That I'll agree with.
Oh, it's 68. We had a breakthrough. All right.
Took that long.
68.
Yeah, 68.
So then there's a point where I think where there's a beam that falls on the
some
monster.
Some more Rube Goldberg stuff?
Yes.
Because I do
actually have the words Rube Goldberg in my notes. But in this case, completely justified, because the fucking place is falling apart. And that would make perfect sense. At some point, something like that is going to happen. You're not going to just stand there unless you're Buster Keaton and just have the whole thing fall around you. However, it's undercranked. Or more specifically, it's probably had frames pulled out.
Frame dropping, yeah.
Frame drop, which now looks silly.
Comical.
Yeah. And I think I really don't know if it did then.
Probably
did it look silly
not.
I think
it was more an attempt to give it a sense of urgency. I don't think that sort of sped up motion, whatever you want to call it.
This is pre-Benny Hill.
Oh yeah.
It's not pre-Keystone Cops, but
right,
I guess.
But the silent films were different because they cranked at different speeds for different things. Mm-hmm. You look at stuff Buster Keaton's. Certain things play at different speeds because of sometimes within the same shot, they'll slow down or speed up the cranking to affect the motion. So if it's over cranked, it slows the motion down. Under cranking speeds it up.
And when it's sped up, it's usually sillier.
Well, now, yeah.
But isn't that true even in those shots you're talking about? Or is it more just for effect to make it look like something's going faster?
Yeah, I think it's more for effect. It probably wasn't until like the Three Stooges.
It's just a shitty effect.
Well, here it is. Yeah. You see it in like a lot of serials or westerns when people fight, and they'll do that.
Yeah, right.
To give it, I think, a more of a sense of urgency. But it just looks silly. Let's be honest.
It does. Yeah. I think it's slightly better than actual undercranking.
Frame dropping?
Frame dropping is slightly better. It's essentially the same thing.
It is,
but it works slightly better, I think, because I don't know. I couldn't give you the actual, but it has something to do with motion blur, I guess. That gives it it makes it more stark to give it like, oh, now this thing just happened, as opposed to. Because
there would be.
It should be the opposite, but
it's. I always feel like when it's frame dropping, it looks a little jerky.
Yeah.
It almost starts to look like a stop motion thing, not in a good way.
You know what it is? It might just be personal opinion.
Yeah.
I guess I prefer it. That's what I'm saying. It does look jerky.
Versus actual undercranking?
Yeah. And so you've just explained why. It's more jerky. And in this case, that's what theoretically is happening. Something goes bang, bang to him.
Yeah.
So it looks a little bit. I'm trying to argue this some minuscule point when we agree it doesn't look great.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit better. But you know what? You made me think of it when you talk about Westerns, because I've seen that. Yeah, when they go to throw a punch.
And they speed
and there's
it
a
up.
frame or two missing.
Yeah, it's supposed to accelerate the action. And
Yeah.
we're so trained from years of Three Stooges and Benny Hill that it's comical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is not the effect, clearly not the effect that they intended here.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
You're not supposed to find that funny.
I wonder what it looked like. I wonder how bad it looked. Like, did it look bad, and that's why they did it?
Slow, and yeah, maybe. Because
boy,
it's
that
all
effect
rigged.
didn't come off.
It's all rigged to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, none of that happens spontaneously. So
Yeah.
hitting the marks and everything. So maybe it did look a little forced or a little slow in actuality. So drop every other frame and it'll speed it up.
I'm going to go out on a limb and give Karloff the benefit of the doubt and say he pulled it off fine, and it would have looked great in the original, even slowed down, because it doesn't have to happen that fast. A big beam fell on him.
Yeah.
He could go down slow.
yeah.
Oh, shit, and fall.
Yeah.
And it would probably be fine. But
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, these last few minutes, his performance is great. Just the terror and bewilderment, it's perfect. He does, I mean, we've talked about since minute 32 how excellent he is in this. So,
And I think we talked about it last week, that what he's been through, it probably contributes to.
oh, yeah.
And now he's back. As soon as that beam hits him, I think he gets back to his normal growl. He's done with the high-pitched screaming. But, that's the real fire bad. It's been a theme
Throughout, yeah.
but here it gets to, maybe it has been a theme. With Fritz, it was
Jabbed
really
him
bad.
in the face. Henry
and his
jabs him.
response to that was to kill him.
Yeah.
And then with Henry, he just went, fuck your fire, and
Yeah.
knocked it aside.
Well,
we were impressed by this.
Earlier he didn't, in the foyer, whatever you want to call it, of the watchtower.
Well, he charged him.
Yeah, he charged him when he had the fire.
That's true. Yep.
And he's poking him in the face with it again.
So that's his response then, is to fight fire.
Yeah.
With fire.
With fire.
I got nothing. Fight fire with, I don't know. Well, it's whatever it is, it's working. With jujitsu, really. Because he gets him there.
Yeah.
And he gets him again on the hill or the mountain or whatever.
But he doesn't hear because it's just
that now he's finally met his match,
so to speak.
Yep. He finally meets some fire that he can't I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
Douse. Okay, so then we get, well, you know what?
We say goodbye to...
We have to say goodbye to Boris Karloff.
That's
yeah. Yeah, this is the big one.
Yep.
The question mark has been dotted.
Victor Borga.
It's terrible.
I'm
done. We're done.
I saw him years ago perform live, and I don't
Karloff?
Victor Borga.
I'm just kidding.
And I don't think I've ever laughed harder and I had
Really?
no expectations.
Like, what year would that have been?
Oh, it was in the 90s.
Okay, wow.
And I'm like, I remember him from Electric Company or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And
right.
Oh my God, he was so funny. I can't.
Really?
Yeah, I laughed so hard.
Huh.
Totally surprised me.
Sometimes I'll make sounds like that, and I'll be like, I'll go or whatever, and Jackie will go, "Oh, you're doing that stupid song from the Monkees, Peter Tork, whatever one, and that is."
Griselda.
And I'm like, I hate that song. I'm not doing that. I'm doing Victor Borga. Like, it's better somehow.
Well, it is, because
there's a bit of skill to that.
He was very clever, and he would. We're way off topic, but he would start playing.
Movie's over.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
Basically, you play a song and then stop and flip the music over and then play the.
That is good stuff.
It took some skill, and he knew how to work the audience. So, however we got here, we're talking about Victor Borga. Yeah,
because we were saying goodbye to Boris Karloff.
Makes sense.
Victor Boris Karloff. He. Yep, this is it. You don't see him. You won't see him again no more.
Ever.
I mean,
ever in the series.
No, that's right.
The monster's
this is the last
dead.
one. It's Glenn Strange from here on out. It's got to be.
He earned his paycheck, and he earned, I believe, the fame and the accolades that came.
You don't think Lugosi would have pulled it off equally well?
No, I honestly don't.
Okay.
Because he didn't have the same attitude towards it.
Yeah.
He looked down his nose at it. It was just a scarecrow or whatever. And you can't do that. I think the story is that Karloff and Lon Chaney met sometime in the 20s on the Universal lot and talked a little bit. And Chaney said, take the parts that nobody else is willing to do. And he does it. He does it spectacularly here. He was called the next Lon Chaney, which he flatly refused to acknowledge. He's like, no, he was one of a kind, and I'm not the next Lon Chaney. I'm just this guy.
Karloff seemed to have a humility.
Yeah.
That I think annoyed Lugosi as much as anything else.
Yeah. I forget where it was. It was on one of the Universal discs, one of the special features, and Greg Mank is talking about that Lugosi probably really wanted to hate Karloff, but Karloff was too nice a guy that he just couldn't actually hate him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I feel like that's the kind of thing that might, the context of, when they would work together, obviously, you'd have some of these film sets. I guess I don't know enough about the times that they did work together, but Karloff's tea breaks, that kind of stuff. It's so weird to think about, like, say, a movie like this where Mae Clark, I think, would talk about all the tea breaks, and you picture Karloff being tortured.
Yeah.
Like, well, this is the last time we're going to see him, so I should mention this. I was just reading it recently. Mank said this in one of his books that Karloff was working 15-hour days without complaint until he complained to the Academy and got things changed and got it cut down to a 12-hour day, and they would start filming later or whatever they had to do to accommodate the fact that he had to fucking show up in the morning and all that stuff. So that happens during this film. Karloff makes that official complaint during this film, but not on set. He does the job.
He did not. Yeah, he was always a professional, from what I understand.
And we've seen the pictures of the tea breaks.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So it's like there's a great combination there. He's everything. Karloff is, I'm gonna start crying. No, but I mean he's doing it all.
Yeah.
He's sweating himself, soaking wet.
Yeah.
He talks about him, driving home with his soaking wet underwear from the morning because he had to change it because he's sweating in this horrible,
this heavy costume.
And you can just look at him and tell he's in pain and discomfort the whole time.
Well, and I think some of it informs his performance. It can only help you play this kind of a character.
Just like Lon Chaney, you can tell it informs. No, I'm just kidding. Right. But that is what I think about when you say that, because you're not going to see anybody play this role like this. Maybe
really,
ever. Yeah,
I mean, I'm trying to think of a comparable. Christopher Lee.
I was going to say Christopher Lee is probably
pretty good.
The next one.
I think Peter Boyle he does a great job in Young Frankenstein. I think he could have played a straight monster and done a really good job. Beyond that, it was all cast for size or name. I mean, Robert De Niro, really?
What do you mean? The guy's a chameleon.
I
don't know. I haven't seen that one in so long. I feel like it wasn't that bad, but
it's not that bad. But it's
a bad movie,
it's
so it's not like
good,
you kind of judge bad movies differently.
Well, and as a result of all of the hardships and stuff we were just talking about, Karloff was one of the founding members of the Screen Actors Guild.
Right.
To make sure this stuff didn't happen anymore.
Yep.
There weren't bathrooms on the set. They had to find a can in the corner or something. I've read.
Mae Clark found a can in the corner.
That I don't know. But conditions.
I'm going gender on this one.
All right.
Yeah. This seems like it's not as big a deal.
Conditions were pretty rough, pretty crude, and he just wanted to be treated humanely, I guess. And certainly after Whale made him march up and down the ladders with Clive, who can blame him?
Yep. So then when Karloff agrees to work with Whale again and again, is it just based on the success of this film, do you think? Are they friends? Are they friendly?
I think... I mean, Whale didn't work with people he didn't like.
Okay.
I don't believe.
He really liked John Bowles?
That's an odd one. I still don't understand why he didn't recast that.
Yeah.
I probably just didn't care enough about the part.
That's probably true.
Because it's such an inconsequential part of the story. It doesn't really add or subtract anything.
I'll tell you, he did like Una O'Connor.
He liked Una O'Connor a little too much. But we'll get into that.
Oh my! Is there a scandal?
No.
Oh boy!
Just how much she's featured in the two movies that he used her.
Yes, exactly.
That's
like,
what
this went great. Let's bring you back for my next one.
Do it even more. Okay, so we say goodbye to Karloff.
Goodbye, Karloff.
Goodbye, Karloff. And there's we lap dissolve to a wide shot of it's the process shot of the model burning, and then the real guy is at the bottom. Then there's another dissolve further back, and it's a complete model. Mm-hmm. And it's great. It looks cool. It's got this sort of zigzaggy road leading up to the mill that you always see like in cartoons. I was thinking of like a Bugs Bunny cartoon going up to a castle.
Or like Dracula. You can give Dracula some props here.
No, yeah.
No, but what I agree with all that. I have all that in my notes too because it's great. That is all really great. And on Blu-ray, it's so brutally obvious that the second shot is full miniature because everybody stops moving. Basically. It's just a bunch of sticks holding
holding a match.
Like a match, yeah.
Yeah. But it fits the style and it still looks good.
Yeah. What I like about, one thing that doesn't look good is the dissolve itself. So as it dissolves, the shot doesn't dissolve all at once.
No.
So that you can clearly see the line of where the actual... So I want to say this right, so people, I don't know, maybe everybody knows this, but the mill in the shot we're talking about, the first shot, where the top of the mill is the miniature, and then the bottom is where everybody's standing.
Yeah,
so then where that line is becomes very distinct as you watch the fade.
During the dissolve. Yeah,
during the dissolve. Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's fun too.
Yeah.
And not something that you'd pick up on because this movie is fast paced.
Yeah.
It's not showing off its special effects.
No.
Like Citizen Kane. I don't know.
Showboating like that. And that would have been the last shot of the movie, is the model,
right?
The wide shot.
Yeah, we're done here.
Yeah, we can go home. That's it.
Support us on Patreon. No.
We're closing up the Long Dead Studios for
right.
for winter, and
we'll be back for Bride of Frankenstein, and that would have been the closing shot. That does work as a closing shot.
Yeah. But
this is where it becomes difficult to cut together. I think you've said this before that you could cut together or have wanted to cut together an extended version of all of them, or just these two.
Just these two, the first two.
Yeah, this is where these are the minutes where it becomes more difficult.
Yeah. I always thought to take the two and make it one continuous story. This is where the film would have ended.
That would work.
Yeah.
We're not going to see anything in the sequel that's egregious and makes it so that it wipes out the first one or anything.
Yeah.
It's not like Evil Dead 1 and Evil Dead 2 where you watch it and go, I don't understand what these even have to do with each other.
Yeah. Basically, one is a better remake of the other.
So, that's right. Yeah. Well, we hope. I mean, or he went back. Or he had such a great time in the first one that he brought his other girlfriend, his love of his life, back.
Yeah.
Evil Dead Minute, I'm sure there's at least 6 different teams doing it.
So either Universal didn't like it ending that way, Preview didn't like it, or Whale didn't like it. I've read all 3.
Okay.
So they shot a happy ending.
And we see the beginning of that.
We see the very beginning of it. It's one continuous shot. It's the first time I noticed it.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that.
This last scene coming up.
Well, don't say that because now that's the whole next minute, right?
Yeah.
I think it's basically the whole next minute.
It is, pretty much.
All right. So let's talk about that next minute.
All right, we'll talk about it next minute.
So we talk about it a little bit. It's clearly a late addition
to the shooting.
I think
it's after.
It takes up the whole next minute.
It does, and it's Well, we can talk about it then I guess.
This is a preview for next week.
It barely starts here, and then So let's do that.
This is a little snapshot, a little preview for our listeners of what we're going to talk about next minute.
Episode 69.
We still have that, I don't know if I told you this, but we still have the Patreon.
We do?
Yeah, that's still operating.
Okay.
It's still available for anybody who wants to contribute at the friend level.
That's expensive to do?
Yeah, it costs a ton of money. So you don't want to do that probably because that's $2 a month.
$2 a month. Wow.
Actually, now they say that, it doesn't sound that much, does it?
No, not really.
It's really not that much, actually. Maybe people do want to do that.
Well, people do it because
there
have
are some patrons. Yeah, we're so appreciative of the people that do contribute, and we also want people to understand that we understand that not everybody can
do that.
So please appreciate this podcast, which will always
be free.
Yeah, but if you can,
please.
We're still doing the Patreon, and for $2 a month, you get every episode a day early, which is fantastic.
Well, you can make your friends envious because you'll know stuff they don't.
Yeah, it happens more often than you might think.
And it also unlocks a treasure trove of bonus episodes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's how it's been described by you just
by me just now as a treasure trove.
So keep the treasure trove rolling, everybody.
Yeah, that's right.